Hello everyone and welcome to another of Jade Productions codex reviews for Warhammer 40,000. We are reviewing today Adeptus Custodes, formerly Legio Custodes, if you played Horus Heresy. So we're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump straight into this army and talk about it, beginning straight up with their army special rules. The one that everyone has is called Aegis of the Emperor. Models with this ability have a 5+ invulnerable save. In addition, roll a d6 each time a model with this ability suffers a mortal wound in the psychic phase, so it must be in the psychic phase. On a 6, that mortal wound is ignored. So
6 up, feel no pain.
And a 5+ invul, that's not a bad ability. That's a bit of a change from what they had before in the index, where it was just the 5+ invulnerable save. And so now that affects their vehicles as well, so their vehicles gain that immunity there. Yeah, interesting. So it's a very short codex in terms of rules, and we'll jump straight into their first named character. So for 10 power, HQ section, you got Captain General Trajan. How do pronounce it? Trajan. It's a historical name, but I don't know it. Trajan Valoris. We will call him Senator Valoris. No? Star Wars reference? No? Okay. Okay, so he's got a pretty standard Custodes line. He's got 6-inch movement, weapon skill 2 up, ballistic skill 2 up, strength 5, toughness 5, 7 wounds, 5 attacks, leadership 10, and a 2-up save. He's equipped with a Watcher's Axe and Miscordia. And of course you can only have one of them.
Misericordia?
Yeah, Misericordia. It's a little dagger. That Custodes can have, and it's got a little interesting thing we'll talk about. His axe is a little bit different from the other axes. His is got an extra strength and an extra no, he's got an extra strength when he's shooting it.
Strength times 2 in melee?
No, when he's shooting it. When he is shooting the Watcher's Axe, 24 inches, rapid fire 1, strength 5, AP -1, damage 2. So it's got one more strength than a regular version.
Yeah. It's a heavy bolter. So it's a heavy bolter, but in bolt gun form.
Yeah. The Miscordia is a little bit interesting, and everything in this codex, part of the vehicles can take one. And it's just a strength user, AP -2, 1 damage.
Extra attack.
Each time the bearer fights, so it doesn't have to fight with this weapon to get it, it makes 1 additional attack with this weapon unless it is also equipped with a storm shield.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the way that's written, he makes his 5 attacks with his Watcher's Axe, and then he makes 1 more with the Misericordia.
Makes sense.
And then of course the Watcher's Axe is melee, strength times 2, so he's going to get strength 10, AP -3, D3 damage. It's an axe. It's a big axe.
It's decent. Damage is not as high as I thought it would have been for him, but it works.
Yeah, but he's going to be getting a lot of hits statistically. Like, because it's AP -3, he's hitting up on 2s, rerolling 1s. So he's got the Aegis of the Emperor. He's got the Auramite Halo, which gives him a 3+ invulnerable save.
Always handy.
He's got Legendary Commander, which lets him reroll all hit rolls and wound rolls of 1 for friendly Adeptus Custodes within 6 inches of him.
And the Moment Shackle.
He's also the only thing in this Custodes Codex that actually rerolls wound rolls. So that's an important thing to know. The Moment Shackle.
Once per battle, he can choose to do one of the following. Regain D3 lost wounds. At the end of the fight phase, pile in an attack again. That's handy.
Oh yeah, especially with his 5 attacks.
Or regain up to D3 command points spent. That's really handy.
When you use a stratagem.
Yes, when you use a stratagem.
You can't regain more than was spent on that stratagem though.
That's still
probably
very
best
useful.
used on a 3-cost stratagem.
Or even a 2-point would be worth it.
Yeah.
It's very useful.
And it's one of the few ways in this codex that gets you command points back. Very few things in this codex get that for you. The D3 wounds is a bit I'm not sure how it's usage there, but he does have 7 wounds.
He's got 7.
It could come in handy if someone gets him down to half, gets through all those 3-ups.
Any amount of regain is always good.
The end of the fight phase, I don't see that being used much unless you really, really want something dead.
Oh, if you need to finish something off, something that absolutely has to die, it's perfect for it.
Yeah, but he's got the... He's really... Yeah. He'll be wounding most... He'll be hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, and he'll be wounding most things on 3s, rerolling 1s.
3s or 2s, depending on what he's fighting, yeah.
Yeah. So, a change from the index is that shield captains are no longer squad captains with just an extra attack and an extra leadership. Now they're their own HQ choice that you can model and build. And we've got the standard Custodes stat line, 6-inch, 2-up, 2-up, strength toughness 5. They've got 6 wounds, 5 attacks, leadership 9.
7 power.
7 power. They're equipped with just the Guardian Spear off the bat.
Which they can change for a Sentinel Blade or Axe.
Yep.
They can take the Misericordia.
Yep.
And if armed with the Sentinel Blade, you can take a Storm Shield.
So, the Castellan Axe in shooting is Rapid Fire 1, 24 inches, Strength 4, AP -1, 2 damage. So, bye-bye Primaris Marines.
So it's like a master-crafted bolter.
Yep. The Sentinel Blade in shooting is just a 12-inch Pistol 2, Strength 4, AP 0, 1 damage.
Yeah, the Guardian Spear also has the same shooting attack as the Axe.
Yeah, just a fancy bolter. Melee, the Castellan Axe is Strength +3, AP -2, D3 damage. It's a very powerful force axe there.
So it takes them up to Strength 8.
Yeah.
The D3 damage is a little disappointing, but...
It's probably one of their primary anti-tank weapons in this army, funnily enough, having looked through it. Outside of last cannons on Dreadnoughts.
Maybe. D3 just doesn't seem like enough for that purpose, though.
I know, but I'm convinced you'll get enough hits and wounds.
You might, yeah.
With 5 attacks.
You probably won't get enough wounds, though, because you're striking at Strength 8 against Toughness 8 most of the time. Only half of those are going to go through.
Most vehicles are Toughness 7.
Most of the vehicles that you want these guys to destroy will be Toughness 8.
Yeah, but for those you've got other things.
This is a shield captain, so you're going to have him go after big things, and big things are going to come after him, so that means Toughness 8 things.
He will be wounding a lot of things on 4s or 3s. But that's better than 5s. The Guardian Spear is Strength +1, which puts him into a bit of an awkward Strength 6 bracket, but still good for mowing down Gek. AP and Mech. AP -3, D3 damage.
Yeah, so you get the better AP for less strength bonus, basically.
Yeah. You'll be using the axe against most things that are toughness 6 and above, and you'll be using the spear for things that are strength 6 and below.
Yeah, you'll use the spear mostly against power armored infantry enemies, I think.
The Miscordia, again, it's the same thing. Misericordia, it gives you the extra attack, so technically 6 attacks with an extra.
The Sentinel Blade is just a force sword.
Yeah, it's AP -3, D3 damage, strength user, so that's not bad.
And he's got the Inspirational Fighter ability, so that's a reroll hit rolls of 1 aura for
Adeptus Custodes within the 6 inches. And he can take a Storm Shield, as we
Storm Shield, obviously. So
and he's got the Aegis.
Change his 5 up to a 3 up if you want.
Yeah. So you can take a Shield Captain in Alaris Terminator armor. Extra power, we'll go through points a little bit later. So he doesn't lose out on a lot of things, really.
Yeah,
He's still got the 6-inch movement, even being in Terminator armor.
The Terminator seems to only give him +1 wound and the extra save. Versus the regular Shield Captain.
What do you mean extra save? Because he's still got a 2-up, by the way. All it gives him is extra wound. Yeah,
so all you get is an extra wound.
But you do get different weapon options here.
Yes.
So they're armed with a Guardian Spear and a Ballistus Grenade Launcher.
Let's have a look at this Ballistus Grenade Launcher then.
So it's 12-inch, Assault D3, Strength 4, AP -3, 1 damage. It's interesting, but it does have a lot of stratagems supporting it, as we'll see later.
Yeah, by itself it doesn't really strike me as being terribly good or bad.
It's definitely a kind of a deep strike weapon, I think. Something you fire on the turn they come in.
Seems decisively meh at this point.
Yeah. It does. It's got some interesting things. I think if you're taking one of these as a relic later on, that you're going to swap it out for. He's got the Custodian Axe, the Guardian Spear, and the Misericordia, same as before. He can replace his Guardian Spear with an Axe, which I think you'd almost always do on a shield captor in Alaris Terminator armor. Don't see why you wouldn't, especially since he can deep strike close to the things that you want him stabbing. So he's got the Inspirational Fighter, and then he's got from Golden Light, which is during deployment you can blah 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 deep strike it.
So it's a deep strike.
It's a deep strike rule that all Terminators get. But he's a 6-inch movement Terminator. He doesn't lose out on any movement, unlike regular Terminators.
Yeah, so it looks like, yeah, for an extra power level, you're getting an extra wound, but mostly the same weapon options. Now,
the Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jetbike, I think this is the one that most people are going to take. So, the Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jetbike is 14-inch movement. Yum.
Always good.
2 up, Strength 5, Toughness 6,
Yeah, so you get
7
extra
wounds, 5 attacks, Leadership 9, 2 up save.
So you get the extra strength and extra wound.
You get the extra wound and toughness from being on the bike, and a 14-inch move.
And a 14-inch move.
He is equipped with an Interceptor Lance, and the jet bike has a Hurricane Bolter.
Well, we all know what Hurricane Bolters do.
24-inch, rapid fire 6, strength 4.
However, you can swap that for a salvo launcher.
Salvo launcher has 2 profiles. 24-inch, heavy 1, so strength 8, AP minus 4, D6 damage, and you reroll failed wound rolls for this weapon if the target is a vehicle.
Well, that's very handy.
That's where a lot of your anti-armor outside of laser cannons is coming.
Yeah, the strength 8 is kind of disappointing, but
yeah,
it should do the job.
It's also going to be your lowest natural to hit roll because it's heavy if he moves. So it's going to hitting on 3 ups, rerolling ones, and then rerolling everything against vehicles.
Then you've also got the Flak Burst option,
which is 24 inches again, heavy D3, strength 7, AP minus 1, D3 damage. Add 1 to hit rolls made for this weapon against targets that can fly. Subtract 1 for those that don't.
So handy against Dark Elder vehicles and Elder light flyers.
It's supposed to be your anti-aircraft thing. It doesn't quite have the AP to be that. But
well, you're going to be hitting them on 2s, even if they fly.
Yeah.
Even if they're flyers.
I think it's really good against battle suits and venoms and the like.
I think it's more useful against the light fly things than dedicated flyers.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, that's pretty good.
The Interceptor Lance. Now, I quite like this thing because of its special ability. So it's strength plus 1. So it's basically a Guardian Spear, right? So it's strength plus 1, so they hit at strength 6. AP minus 3, D3 damage.
Yeah, it's a Guardian Spear. But
you can re-roll failed wound rolls for this weapon on the turn in which the bearer made a successful charge. And that's very easy to do.
That's always handy, yes.
So you can take on things that are reliably higher toughness, that you're wounding on 5s, pretty well.
And the only other option this guy has is to take a Misericordia. So
yeah,
not many options if you take the Shield Captain.
Now, I'll tell you now.
You got to decide whether you want the Bolter or the Salvo Launcher.
The Salvo Launcher is 25 points, and the Hurricane Bolter is 10.
15 points more.
So the difference ends up between being... He's 160 points with just a Hurricane Bolter. And then he's, 175 with the Salvo.
Would you take the Misericordia, you think?
The Misericordia, given its cost, I wouldn't take it on him. I wouldn't take it on the Dawn Eagle Jetbike.
How many points is it?
It would put him up to near 180. I think it's about 5 points or so, a little less.
Okay.
I don't think it's that expensive.
If it's only 5 points, I'd just take it. Like, why not? You're already the most expensive elite army anyway, so what's another 5 points?
Well, it'll fill up your points, because with these guys, you'll often be left over with lots of points left over, so there's no reason really not to take the Misericordia on things that can.
You'll be shoehorned.
I'll double check that point on the Misericordia at the end there. So he's got the Aegis of the Emperor and the Inspirational Fighter again, so he rerolls 1s to hit. But he's also got Implacable Vanguard.
Implacable?
No, that's Implacable.
Implacable?
That's Implacable.
Okay.
When this model... I know English. Trust me. When this model advances, add 6 to each movement characteristic for that movement phase instead of rolling a dice.
The standard jet bike thing that all jet bikes in the game get.
Unless you're Imperium. Yeah. So...
Jet bikes, I said.
Yeah. So then we've got the Custodian Guard. Now, these guys have gone down in terms of points and power from the index version. They're now only 8 power instead of 14.
The original
but they've
Banana
lost their
Men.
captain. They've lost their captain.
But they also start with only 3.
Yes. They can go up to 10.
Yes.
They can go up to a 10-man squad.
3 power per model.
3 power per model, yeah. To be honest, I actually don't think these guys are worth taking anymore. Because we'll have a look at them. They've got the Sentinel Blade, and they can take Storm Shields. They've got access to the Spear, but not the Axe.
Yeah, so they come with the Spear by default, which you can swap out for the Blade and Storm Shield. And then any of them can take the Misericordia.
And then their only special rule is the Aegis of the Emperor.
Yeah.
So
your standard frontline troops, they'll get the job done. They're pretty strong by themselves.
Especially
with the Storm Shield.
They're a case of I would give them a Storm Shield and just have them sit on something in the back line.
Hard to dislodge with 3 wounds.
Yeah, 3 wounds apiece, even at a minimum squad. So Custodian Wardens are Elite's choice. And that's it for your troops and the HQs. So Custodian Wardens are Elite. They're 10 power.
For 3.
For 3, yeah. They are Movement 6, Standard Custodian stat line. But
they have 3 wounds and 4 attacks.
Yeah. And they've got an extra... So basically, they've got an extra attack and an extra leadership instead of over the regular Custodian Guard. And they can take the axe. No, they're armed with the axe.
They come with the axe and the Misericordia by default, and they can replace their axe with the Guardian Spear.
You probably want to keep the axe under most circumstances.
And then the only new special rule they have that makes them different is the Binding Oath.
Roll a d6 each time a model in this unit loses a wound. On a 6, the damage is ignored and that wound is not lost.
So they get 6 up, feel no pain. That extends to the whole of the game rather than just the psychic phase.
So they are regular Custodes, but better because they can take an axe and they can have the thing. Yeah, but they can't take... Better. But they're more aggressive. They can't take the Storm Shield, so you'll probably be using them much more aggressively.
Yeah.
When I've been reading, they are striking me as a very high aggression unit, very high aggression army in general. You want to be getting up in your opponent's face as quickly as possible, getting into that melee.
So next we have another Elite's choice, the Vexilar Praetor.
Yeah, the Vexilar
in Alaris Terminator armor.
Yeah, so the Vexilar Praetor is the banner guy. He comes in Terminator armor or not Terminator armor.
Yep.
He's got the same stats as what you'd expect, except he's got 6 wounds and 4 attacks and leadership 9.
He comes with only the grenade launcher by default, and you can option to give him the Misericordia.
Yeah. He's got the deep striking thing. He's got the Aegis of the Emperor, but then he's got his Custodes Vexilar. Now, you can re-roll failed morale tests for friendly Imperium infantry and biker units within 6 inches of this model. In addition, when you add this model to your army, choose one of the following Vexilars for this model to carry.
You got Vexilar Imperius, which is Custodes models other than vehicles add 1 to their attacks while within 6 inches.
Which is fantastic for trying to mulch hordes.
Yep, always a good one. Then you got the Defensor, which is Imperium infantry, gain a 5-up invul save against ranged weapons while they are wholly within 9 inches of this one.
And then the Vexilar Magnifica. Your opponent must subtract 1 from hit rolls in the shooting phase for attacks that target Adeptus Custodes units within 6 inches of any friendly Praetors with this Vexilar.
Yeah, so they're giving you options for whether you want to play pure Custodes or Imperial Soup.
So the one that benefits Imperial Soup, that's kind of good.
That's really good.
I'll tell you that's good because it applies to vehicles.
If you can fit a Lehman Russ wholly within 9 inches of it, which you should be able to do.
Well, you can extend that range later with a stratagem. So, but the other 2 that solely affect Custodes, I feel like they're really good because they counter things that the Custodes are gonna be weak to.
Yeah, so you can add more attacks, which makes up for your low model count.
Yeah, helping you carve through those swarms of anyone who tries to tar pit you with Orc Boys or Tyranids.
Yeah.
And then the Magnifica is there to help protect you against people who are going to try and last cannon spam your guys down one at a time.
Yeah, that's really handy. -1 to hit is always a huge
always a good
deal
buff.
in this game, as it currently stands.
The question of whether you take a Praetor in Alaris armor is something different depending on points. It's good that he can deep strike.
Or, from the looks of it, the only difference again is the extra wound.
The only difference is the extra wound and the weapons.
And the ability to deep strike.
And that, too. The Vexilar Praetor normally can take, actually, a Castellan Axe or Castellan Spear. Because if you saw up above, he can...
Yeah, this guy only gets the grenade launcher and that's it.
Yeah, the Praetor and Terminator armor only has a grenade launcher. But if he's just a normal one, he actually has the regular Custodian's weapons.
Yeah, you can actually give him guns.
This model... Or you can give him a Storm Shield.
With a Misericordia.
Yeah, you can replace it... Yeah. I wonder if that's a bit of a... I'm not sure he quite has enough hands for that. I wonder if that's a bit of a mistake.
If this model may replace Guardian Spear, Castellan Axe, or Storm Shield with a Misericordia, may replace its war gear with a Misericordia. If this model does not replace its war gear with a Misericordia, it may take a Misericordia.
Like, because he's holding...
It gets one of them, so you can take a Spear, Axe, or Storm Shield, only one.
And then he gets the Misericordia.
And then if you only have the Storm Shield, you can take a Misericordia.
But again, what Storm Shield with a Misericordia? He already gets that. That's an option. Storm Kill with. This model does not replace its war gear with him. Either way, he's getting a Misericordia. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit oddly worded.
I guess, yeah, it is. But I guess you can give him a Storm Shield so you can make your big buffer dude a lot more annoying to remove.
Yeah.
Without mortal wounds.
Or you can give him a weapon so he can actually shoot at shit and do something.
Yeah, which is always handy in an army with low model count.
Yeah, you don't want a model, even though it is giving a great buff, to just be sitting there and doing nothing. You want it to actually be able to kill some things during its turn as well.
I could see in like a balanced Custodian army, you'd probably take 2 of these. One with the Magnifica and one with the Imperious.
Definitely.
And then if you're taking them in soup, well, you're going to take that one. It's a question of how many. Depends on what you want to keep alive.
Yeah.
Probably only one would do if you're doing a parking lot, I guess. Alright, so their next thing is Alaris Custodians. Now,
the guys in the Terminator armor.
These guys cost 13 power, so they're actually 1 power cheaper than the index version of Custodian Guard.
But again, you only get 3 models as opposed to 4 in a Sergeant.
Yes. So, you can add up to, they're expensive power-wise.
They come
5 per model.
They come with the Axe and Grenade Launcher by default.
Yep.
They have all the same options and replacements as the Alarius Commander.
They've got the Deep Strike, they've got the Aegis of Emperor, but they've also got, their unique thing is Slayers of Tyrants.
Ooh, what does this do?
When models in this unit pile in and consolidate, they can move up to 3 inches towards the nearest enemy character, even if it is not the nearest enemy model, so long as they finish this move within 1 inches of an enemy unit.
Oh, okay, so they can get closer to the characters.
So if someone's trying to hide a character in a bit of a swarmy blob,
yeah.
you can try and get closer to that rather than having to deal with the moves.
Practically, though, I don't see that being
very useful.
Very often. Seems a bit situational.
I think they're supposed to be your character hunters, but I feel like they're better at because of their strength 8 weaponry. That they're probably better when it comes to taking on, mid-ranged sort of toughness 7 big things.
Well, yeah, you deep strike them in, so they're going to be your first line fighters.
Yeah. Well, let's just say a squad of 3 of them can near cut a Lehman Russ in half.
You'd get close.
With average dice rolls, they'll do about 6 damage. So they'll just about cut a Lehman Russ in half at just a minimum squad. So you've got the Venerable Contemptor Dreadnought next.
Yet another Elite's choice.
Yeah, this is a very Elite heavy army. Its power has gone up compared to the Index version.
Yeah, from 8 to 10.
From 8 to 10. It's still got the degrading stat line with movement, weapon skill, and ballista skill going 2 up, 3 up, 4 up, and its movement going from 9 to 6 to 4. It's strength 7, toughness 7, 10 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 8, 2 up. It and the regular Custodian Guard have the lowest leadership in this codex. So
It
it's
comes with the Dreadnought CC weapon, multi-melter, and combi bolter by default.
yeah,
And you can swap the multi-melter with the Kerry's Pattern Assault Cannon.
which you'll probably almost always be doing.
You probably almost always do that, since the multi-melter is a one-shot kind of meh.
Well, the carry's pattern is strength 7, AP -1, 6 shots at 24 inches. So it's not bad. And they're both heavy, so...
I'd take that. It seems like a waste of a platform to just have it field a multi-melter.
Yeah. It's that case with most dreadnoughts, but more so with this because you need weight of dice when you're playing Custodes to get anywhere. And it's strength 7, which is not bad.
Strength 7, so you want it in melee.
Yeah.
Takes
You
it to
want
strength
it in
14.
melee, though. Yeah.
So it's got the automatic shielding, which is something that all contemptors have, giving it a 5-up invul.
Yeah, so it doesn't have Aegis of the Emperor like it does in the Index.
So it won't get a 6-up feel no pain in the psychic phase.
Yeah. But it will still benefit from the +1 to invul saves. Because that doesn't affect Aegis, as we'll see. It's just a thing for being battle forged.
Well, it doesn't need them because it's got the automatic shielding to give it the 5-up invul anyway, and it's got the unyielding ancient, which gives it a 6-up feel no pain anyway.
Battle forged, it'll go up to a 4-up invul.
And of course it explodes.
Yes, it does.
On a 6.
So then you have these things, which I predict being fielded and bought in great numbers.
Yes, the very pretty jet bikes.
The Veritas Praetors, or the Virtus Praetors.
Virtus, I think.
Virtus Praetors. They're fast attack. They're your only fast attack. They are 15 power.
I'm just glad that there's something in a different slot other than elite.
Yeah, so you're... Let's just say I see a lot of either Vanguards, Outriders, or Supreme Command detachments for this army.
Probably lots of Vanguards, because you need the elite slots.
Ooh, I reckon lots of Outriders. These bikes are really good.
They are, and they're pretty.
You got 3 bikes for 15 power, 14-inch movement, all the same stuff.
2 up, strength 5, toughness 6, wounds 4, attacks 4, leadership 9, 2-up save.
Yeah, so they're Custodian Wardens on bikes.
And each model comes with the Lance and Hurricane Bolter by default. Any of them can take a salvo launcher instead, and any can take a Misericordia in addition to all of their other gear.
Yep.
We already went through those weapons.
They've got the same rules, the Implacable Vanguard, where if it advances, it goes in auto 6, and they've got Aegis of the Emperor.
Yeah, so it's pretty good.
We've covered a lot of what they do already, but it's one of those things of
their fast movement makes them really good.
And it's a question of, do you want them, or do you want just lots of the bike commander who can reroll as ones?
Yeah, well, you could put the bike commander behind a group of these. I think you
can deep strike these with stratagems, which we'll cover.
You filled several squads of these because you'd want a squad to have all Hurricane Bolters for your infantry mulching, and then you'd probably want a squad with the salvo launcher to go after your enemy's vehicles and flyers, I think.
Yeah. I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot of these. These are going to be the bulk of most Custodes armies. They're just a little too good.
They're pretty good. They're not...
they're not as... In this version, like, I feel like the Custodes captain on them, we're going to be seeing a lot of them because they're really, really good. But these, we're going to be seeing, maybe 1 or 2 squads per army because they are just...
They're definitely worth fielding.
They're definitely worth fielding, and they're a little better than just your regular Custodes. So we've got the Venerable Land Raider. It is back. It's
just your standard Land Raider.
Now, it does have some changes. Its
has
gone up.
Yeah, it has gone up in power.
So from 19 in the Index to 21 in the Codex.
But other than that, all the options are exactly the same, and it looks like the rules are too.
It's lost the Aegis of the Emperor, but it has kept everything else.
Yeah.
So this thing will only be getting a 5-up invul save. Oh, actually, I'm not sure if it's getting an invul save, period. We'll have to check the wording on...
Unyielding Ancient is just the 6-up feel no pain.
We'll have to check on...
Smoke launches explodes. Yeah.
For their Battle Forge, we'll have to see if this will give it any sort of invul save, but I don't think it will, because it's +1 to an existing invul save, I'm pretty sure.
Well, if that's how it's worded, then yeah, this will be the only unit you have without an invul save.
But
unless you field a Vexilar near
yeah, unless you Vexilar it. But yeah, it is a
it's just standard Las Land Raiders, so it's your best source for anti-armor.
Problem is, it's just a little expensive, and I feel like you probably want to take bikes instead.
That's it for all the units.
That is it. That is all the units, and their armory page is very, very small. So Auric Mortalis is the next section. For
being battle forged, the infantry and biker units gain the Sworn Guardians and Emperor's Chosen. So it's only biker and infantry.
Yeah. So the units okay, so the Contemptor Dreadnought stays at a 5-up.
Yeah.
And according to the wording of the Emperor's Chosen, that
the invulnerable save is improved by 1.
Yeah, to a maximum of 3-up. So you're not going to be getting an invul save without a Vexilar on your Land Raider.
No.
And then your Sworn Guardians. Now this is objective secured, but with a bit of a twist. It applies to, I'm pretty sure, everything. If a unit with this ability...
well, only your infantry and bikers will get it.
Which means your HQs will get it.
Yes.
Which means you can have just a bunch of HQ bike dudes just zipping around everywhere.
Yeah, so all your infantry and bikers are objective secured.
Yeah, so you can swoop in and be like, that's not your objective anymore.
Yeah.
Which I can see that mattering for Maelstrom games.
Now we got Stratagems.
So the Stratagems. So the first one is from Golden Light They Came.
So that's your standard teleporty one with 1 CP for 1 unit or 3 CPs for 2 units.
There's a slight difference. You can use it on infantry, bikers, and dreadnoughts.
And you can use it on infantry, bikers, or dreadnoughts.
So you can deep strike those bikes.
You can deep strike everything but your Land Raider.
Yeah.
1 CP gets you unflinching, used during your opponent's charge phase. Choose an Adeptus Custodes unit.
From
the unit can fire Overwatch on a 5-up.
Rather than 6, yeah.
So pretty handy if you're being charged. Unleash the Lions for 2 CP, used at the start of your movement phase.
Select a unit of Alaris Custodians, so the Terminators, from your army on the battlefield. That unit immediately splits into separate units, each containing a single model.
So a very interesting tactic you can use to just split everyone up.
Deep strike a 10-man squad. Activate that. You now have 10 individuals.
It can be a pain for your opponent, since they won't be able to concentrate fire on a single unit.
Yeah. It's rather trolly. I'm not sure how effective it would be in practice, but it is a bit trolly.
It is rather trolly. Then you got the Tanglefoot Grenade, 1 CP. Use it at the beginning of your opponent's movement or charge. Choose an enemy unit within 12 inches of a Custodes infantry. Roll a d6. Your opponent must reduce the unit's movement characteristic or charge distance by the result. Units with the fly keyword are unaffected. So just a nice little
1 CP to try and slow down a charge or movement of an enemy unit.
Yeah.
Trying to
again, it seems very trolly rather than practical, minusing d6 from a charge. Like the odds of it actually stopping the charge is like.
Well, I don't know. It depends on what you roll.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's so random. It seems more trolly.
I feel like it's a bit more useful because it stops the movement. But it's 12-inch range.
Yeah, the fact that they've already got to be within 12 inches is
at that point they're already in charge, so it's like, why?
Ever Vigilant is 2 CP.
So use the stratagem immediately after your opponent sets up a unit. It's the standard if something comes within 12 inches of infantry, deep strikes in, then you can shoot at it with -1 to hit.
Yeah, shoot it with -1.
Standard Space Marine thing. The Vexilar Teleport Homer. Now this...
So this is 3 CP, so it's expensive.
But you'll understand why. Use the stratagem at the end of your movement phase. When you set up a teleporting Adeptus Custodes unit at the end of the phase, you can set it up wholly within 6 inches of a friendly Vexilis Praetor, other than one that was set up this turn, so you can't deep strike and then
deep strike again.
You can't just keep...
Yeah.
But...
more than 3 inches from enemy models.
Yeah, you can set the things up 6 inches within the Vexilar, but more than 3 away from enemy models. So you can
it's like
break...
It's like a Tau Teleport Homer.
You can break that 9-inch bubble.
Yeah. which is always handy if you get to pull it off. 3 CP though, it's a
expensive,
bit expensive,
but it can be very good if you have if your strategy relies all around like a really big teleport strike.
We've got open the vaults, which is your standard relic one.
You'll probably be using it a lot because these guys have 13 relics and there are some golden gems in there.
1 CP. You've got Avatars of the Emperor, used at the beginning of the morale phase. Adeptus Custodes is chosen from your army other than a vehicle, and you use that unit's leadership for morale tests for friendly Imperium units within 6 inches. So it's an Imperial soup stratagem more than Custodes. If you're running Custodes, you'll never use that ever.
No, because your lowest is 8. But you can be like, here is Tijon Valaris. Here is Senator Valaris, as I'm going to call him.
Here is Valaris, use his leadership 10 on your conscripts.
On your conscript blobs. There will be no fleeing. Who needs commissars?
Shoulder of the Mantle is 1 CP.
I reckon, again, this is really trolly, but also kind of useful. Because what it does is use the stratagem when your warlord is slain. Choose a shield captain on the battlefield from your army. So any shield captain, can be on bike, can be Terminator, whatever.
And they become your warlord.
They become your warlord, yes. And you just, I am Alfarius Custodian.
And you instantly choose a warlord trait for them. So yeah, it's the Alfarius, Alpha Legion.
It is I am Alfarius for Custodes.
Yes, the Alpha Legion. Was that a stratagem for them?
It's just a trait, I think. I forget.
Well, they can do the same thing that the Alpha Legion can do anyway,
which is rather hilarious.
It's rather trolly. Burst Missile Net for 1 CP.
Use the stratagem in your shooting phase when choosing a unit of Virtus Praetors from your army to make their ranged attacks. If they all fire Flak Burst missiles at the same target with the fly keyword, you can reroll failed wound rolls for those attacks.
That's really handy since the wound roll is probably the hardest roll to get with those flaks.
It encourages what you said before about you want to give a squad, one weapon, and then you want to give all the bikes in another squad the other salvo weapon.
Yeah.
It encourages that.
Network of Machine Spirits is 1 CP. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase. It's for vulnerable land raiders, so you choose one, and it's got to have at least one other vulnerable land raider friendly one within 6 inches. And if you do, neither of the chosen models suffer penalties to their hit rolls.
I mean, yes, it's a nice counter to people like Eldar who decide to stack your minus hit to 4, but at the same time, why do you have 2 land raiders? That is almost like half your army.
Yeah.
Like a standard land raider, I haven't checked what the Custodians ones cost full price, but a normal one full price is like 350.
Well,
and you want 2 special ones in your, like.
It will be handy against things that give you negs, but against everything else, you probably won't ever need to use it because land raiders you're going to be keeping still most of the time anyway.
Pretty much. Spark of Divinity, 1 CP. Use this stratagem when an enemy psyker manifests a psychic power within 12 inches of an Adeptus Custodes infantry or Adeptus Custodes biker. That's the thing with these stratagems, you do have to be very close for most of them.
It allows you to
deny the witch as if you were a psyker.
So 1 CP attempt to deny the witch.
Which is probably worse than the regular deny the witch of you just roll on a 4-up command stratagem that other factions get. The one that Sisters, the one that World Eaters, the one that Black Templars get. It's actually, I think it's a bit worse than that because you still have to deny the witch the regular way.
I think it's probably a bit better because the odds of you doing it is a bit better than just plain old 50-50.
Not really, because you've got to beat what they rolled.
True, but it means if they roll low, you've got a much better chance rather than always having a 50-50 chance.
Yeah, but the 50-50 chance lets you just say, you rolled a 12, stop. There is no vortex for you.
True.
I think it's iffy. Especially since you have a warlord trait that lets you do a similar thing as Custodes.
Indomitable Guardians, another 1 CP.
Yep. Use this stratagem in your opponent's fight phase after an enemy unit that has charged has fought. Choose an Adeptus Custodes from your army that is within 3 inches of an objective marker and fight with it next.
So it's like the interrupt the fight phase one, but slightly better if you're near objectives.
It's basically
because it's only 1 CP instead of 2.
If someone gets to those, Custodes that you've parked on that backfield objective with storm shields, then you can try and fight them to kill them before they take the objective from you, which, could be the difference between losing a game, having them fight first, but it's Very situational.
1 CP is Plant the Vexilar, so your Vexilar Praetor mustn't have moved, and you can increase the range of his Vexilar ability by 6 inches until your next movement phase. And he's not allowed to charge.
Most of those are... Now, the one that gives the invul save is 9 inch.
Yeah, it's perfect for that one, because that gives you 18 inch. You can just use that every turn to give your parking lot 5-up invul save.
Yep. So that's very easy to get stuff within Wholly Within.
Yes, that makes it very easy. You could get Baneblades Wholly Within with that.
Yeah.
Inspire Fear is 1 CP. Beginning of your morale phase, choose an Adeptus Custodes. Your opponent adds 1 to morale tests for enemies within 3 inches. So if you're pounding them in melee but you didn't quite get them all, that might help you finish them off in the morale phase, maybe. Considering how morale works, it's either you're either not going to need it because they're going to fail anyway, or they're going to be immune to it. So it seems a bit of a meh one.
You've noticed that a lot of them are very situational thus far.
Yeah.
That's a thing. The stratagems, I feel like they're not very good.
Piercing Strike is 1 CP.
But they have use, like Piercing Strike. Piercing Strike, I think, is one you're going to be using a fair bit.
Select a Custodian's unit in your army to attack in the fight phase. Add 1 to wound rolls.
For its
Guardian Spears. That's good. That makes Guardian Spears
better
in some instances.
Well, things they were winning on 3s, they can now hit on 2s, like Space Marines. Things they were winning on 4s that were toughness 6, they can now win on 3s. Things that were toughness 7, they can now be winning them on 4s.
It helps level the playing field.
Yeah.
Sentinel Storm is 2 CP.
I wouldn't consider this one really good, but use a stratagem at the end of your opponent's shooting phase. Choose one of your Adeptus Custodes units that is within 1 inches of an enemy unit. That the unit can choose to shoot with its sentinel blades as if it were the shooting phase. So it lets you shoot with your pistol swords in their phase.
That's useful, but probably not for 2 CP.
No, not really.
2 CP, Inescapable Vengeance. Use this stratagem when you select Alaris Custodians to make their attacks in the shooting phase. They can target enemy characters even if they're not the closest.
Yeah, so they can put their...
Could be very handy, but considering the nature of their weapons, probably not in most instances.
It will come in... It's more handy if we look at something later on, because it combos with some relics, but by itself, it's not great, because... They've only got a choice between their grenades and their special bolters into their guns. So, strength 4, AP -1 damage. No matter what, you're going to be shooting at something with strength 4.
Yeah, it's not the kind of weapon that you want to use against most armies' characters anyway.
But it does let an entire squad shoot, technically.
An entire squad of 1 because you split them.
Yeah, if you split them.
1 CP, Wisdom of the Ancients is the regular old Wisdom of the Ancients from all the other...
Your Dreadnought can reroll 1s for...
Yeah, your Dreadnought gets the reroll 1s aura for a turn.
Even in death, you use a stratagem when a Adeptus Custodes character from your army is slain. This is 2 CP. Before removing the model from the battlefield, it can immediately either shoot as if it were the shooting phase or fight as if it were the fight phase.
So it's your regular post-mortem attack.
It's a character, so you can shoot with your biker guns if you die.
Yeah, pretty standard stratagem. All Imperium armies have something similar to that.
Yep. Castellan Strike. This is 1 CP. Use this stratagem when you select one of your Adeptus Custodes units to attack in the fight phase, as long as more than one model in the unit is attacking with a Castellan Axe, and they all target the same unit. Improve the AP of that unit's Castellan Axes to -3 until the end of the phase.
Oh, that's super specific. But if you're fielding all axes, then it doesn't really matter.
Remember what I was saying before about a squad of Custodian Larisk, with axes cutting halfway through a Lehman Russ battle tank with their axes at a min squad.
Yeah.
This lets you do it slightly better, so you won't quite kill it mathematically, but you'll do a few more.
The best way to look at this stratagem, if you're fielding all with the same weapon, which you should be, is just it's a 1 CP to get an extra point of AP on your weapon.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all you're getting.
Which, the axes are -2.
Yeah, so
it's the difference between a 5-up and a 6-up.
Most of the time it probably can't be justified.
No. Probably justifiable against things with a 2-up save.
Yeah. Avenge the Fallen.
Yes. So 1 CP.
For 1 CP, yes.
Use this stratagem when you select an Adeptus Custodes unit from your army to attack in the fight phase. Until the end of the phase, increase the attack characteristic of each model in the unit by 1 for each model from that unit that was slain this turn.
Well, that's interesting.
So if you're fielding squads, you use this when half of your squad has been slain.
Yeah.
It's probably best used against swarms.
Yeah, if you've taken a beating, you use this stratagem to make some extra attacks back.
Yeah.
That's pretty handy. I can see that being useful.
I see that one, yeah. It's very good on bigger squads.
Yeah. That is useful.
And the time to pop it is when your squad reaches half of what it started with.
Yeah. Definitely. Situational still, but I can see that one being one of those. It's like, oh shit, I've lost half my unit. What can I do to get these guys back?
I invested in a big 10-man blob of Custodian Warden or Guard, and now they've been swamped by lots of Termagants.
Yeah. So you can put concussion grenades for 1 CP.
Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when choosing a unit of Alaris Custodians from your army to attack. Until the end of the phase, their ballistic grenade launchers have an AP characteristic of 0 instead of 1, and infantry units that are hit by these attacks are stunned until the end of the turn. They cannot fire Overwatch, and your opponent must subtract 1 from hit rolls made for the unit.
Interesting. So you can use that when they're charging you to force them to subtract. No,
because you use that in your shooting phase. So what it does is it sets you up as you can either shoot a target nearby with your grenade launchers, and then you're free to charge them without suffering Overwatch, or you can just shoot something with that, and then that unit will just have -1.
Except it won't, because that -1 only lasts until the end of the current turn. So the -1 is practically useless.
Unless that's... No, it just says from all hit rolls, so it makes them worse in melee.
Yeah, if you're charging them that turn.
Yeah, so it's a... Do it before you charge into something. With either good Overwatch, or that's got a chance of actually fighting back. For 1 CP... I could see it being effective on Tyranid monsters. I can see it being used.
I can definitely see that being used.
So long as you can get the... Because all you've got to do is hit. You don't actually have to wound.
Yeah, it does say only if they're hit it applies, so...
Yeah, so you can use that on bigger Gribblies, like in Tyranids and Demons. And you can use it on guys with lots of Overwatch. So 1 CP, Bringers of the Emperor's Justice. Use this stratagem when an Adeptus Custodes unit from your army is chosen to attack in the fight phase. Each time you make a hit roll of 6+ for a model in that unit during this phase, it can, if it was targeting a Heretic Custodes unit, immediately make an extra attack against the same unit using the same weapon. So
it's your extra attack on a 6-up.
But against Heretic Custodes.
Against Heretic Custodes. With the added bonus of on a 4-up against Black Legion units, because fuck Black Legion, right?
Yeah, screw Black Legion. Screw Black Legion. Eyes of the Emperor. Use this... okay, this is interesting, but so situational, and it only applies to Maelstrom. So it's 1 CP to generate a new tactical objective and discard it all.
Right, so they get the thing that everyone else gets, but for half the price, which is actually quite useful for them. Because usually you have to pay 2 CP to discard a tactical objective and get a new one if you don't like it.
Victor of the Blood Games. I like it. Kind of, I think it's cute, especially in the character-heavy army. But it's also really useful. So uses a stratagem. It's 2 CP. Use this stratagem when you set up an Adeptus Custodes character from your army during deployment. You can reroll 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll, or 1 save roll for this model in each turn.
It's pretty interesting.
It's a free command reroll for a character
for those
in
three
those 3 areas. Things. Which I feel is you're going to use it most of the time in the save.
And then we got another 3 CP expensive one, Stooping Dive.
Yes. Now this is pretty cool.
At the end of your opponent's charge phase, Choose a biker unit within 12 inches of enemy unit, and then you can declare a charge as if it was your charge phase.
If the unit's charge is successful, that unit fights before all other units in the subsequent fight phase, even before charging units. If your opponent has any units with similar abilities, take it in turns to resolve them, beginning with your opponent.
Okay, so it's less effective against Slaanesh, but that is really cool.
That is, it's your charge phase. You just charged my guys here. Well, I have guys nearby here. I'm going to charge you and I'm going to fight you first before you can kill my important squad.
Yeah, that's very...
There's a reason it's 3 CP.
It is expensive though, so
it's 3 CP.
You're probably not going to pull it off very often, but when you do, it's going to be amazing.
So, in the stratagems, they are very trolly, and a lot of them are super situational. There aren't so many that I thought were a lot of, sort of just general Imperial buffs, but what ones there were pretty good in terms of their usefulness. Like, there's nothing sort of, well, there's very few things that don't benefit from just getting a 5-up invul. And the ability to just give that entire groups is pretty good. There's some combos there. It's very synergistic, I guess. It's all about making your custodians perform slightly better in one phase or another.
Yeah, they're all very situational. I think they're all about just having allowing your custodians models to adapt
their own
to the
weaknesses.
situation.
Like, they're all about covering for the custodians' weaknesses.
Relics.
Now, relics are...
There's a lot of relics.
There are a lot of relics. So the first one is Gatekeeper. Model with a Guardian Spear only. It replaces the Guardian Spear. So it's a regular Guardian Spear, but it's got Rapid Fire 3. And
Overwatch attacks hit on a 3-up.
Rather than a
cool.
6, yeah.
That's really cool.
But it's one character.
But otherwise, it's a regular Guardian Spear. Raiment of Sorrows.
So this can go on any one of them. Roll a d6 each time a friendly Adeptus Custodes infantry or biker model is destroyed within 6 inches of the bearer. Before removing the model as a casualty on a 4-up, that model musters one last surge of strength before succumbing to its wounds. It can either shoot with one of its weapons as if it were the shooting phase, or can make a single attack as if it were the fight phase. You cannot use the even in death stratagem on a model that does so.
Okay, so it's the stratagem on a 4-up, but for everyone.
Yeah. It's kind of like the banner.
Yeah.
From the Space Marines.
Yeah, it's basically a Space Marine banner. Eagle Eye, improve the model's invul save by 1.
To a max of 3-up.
To a max of 3-up. So just better invul
3-up,
save.
3-up bikes everywhere. 3-up invul save bikes everywhere.
Well, no.
Yes, because there's multiple ways to get a 3-up invul save on a bike. As we go into this next one, which I think, if you're taking a bike lord, you're pretty much going to always take.
As well as a 3-up invul save. In addition, you can reroll failed charge rolls.
Yes.
Yep, that's definitely a good one. Praetorian Plate for a Terminator model, so for your Alorius characters, the Vexilar one or the Captain.
When you set the bearer up, choose a friendly Imperial character. At the end of your opponent's charge phase, if there is an enemy model within 1 inches of that character, you can remove the bearer from the battlefield, if they are on the battlefield, and even if they were not on the battlefield, set them up within 3 inches of that character and within 1 inch of an enemy model. The bearer is considered to have charged.
Yeah, so instant, get yourself into a battle to guard a dude.
Instant bodyguard.
Yeah, that's
and they don't
cool.
even have to be on the field. It's a little... I missed that the first
The
time.
Veiled Blade for a model with a Sentinel Blade replaces the regular Sentinel Blade.
It's the same as a regular Sentinel Blade stat-wise, but it's got an extra ability that each time the bearer fights whilst they are within 3 inches of an objective marker, they can make 2 additional attacks with this weapon.
Yeah.
I get the feeling they want us to stick things with sword and board on objectives.
Yeah.
Don't tell me how to play my game.
The Emperor's Light for a model with Misery Cord.
Yep, so it's an extra misery cord.
The Misery Cord has got the same stats, but each time they fight, they make an additional attack. Unless there's some sort of addition, add 1 to any morale test taken by enemy units. So it's a bit meh.
Yeah. It's fluffy, I guess, based on the fluff of the misery cord here.
Felmoris Aggressor for a model with Vexilar Defensor.
Yeah, so you've got some you've got some relics in here that turn your Vexillars into really weird weapons.
So it loses the Vexilar ability and instead friendly Imperium infantry and bike units within 6 inches of the bearer in the morale phase automatically pass their morale tests.
Yep.
So instant commissar.
Instant commissar. But then it also gains the following thing. It becomes a weapon with 8-inch range, assault D6, strength 4, AP -1, damage 1.
So it becomes a flamer.
Or it becomes a melee staff with strength +2, AP -1, 1 damage.
Yeah. So you can use your staff to fight with, and you can shoot it as a flamer.
Yep.
Wrath and Jealous, model with Vexilar Magnifica.
Magnifica, yeah.
Loses the ability. Instead, Imperium infantry and bike within 6 inches automatically pass morale tests, and once per battle in the movement phase the bearer does not move, you can roll a d6 for each unit within 6 inches.
Subtract 1 from the result if the unit being rolled for is a character, or 2 of the result if the unit being rolled for is Adeptus Custodes. On a 4-up, that unit being rolled for suffers D3 mortal wounds.
Ooh, that works on friend and enemies, so make sure if you're going to use that ability, make sure you're clear of your own dudes.
Fortunately, it's only doing your Custodes on a 6-up. It's probably better in a Custodes list than a Imperium soup.
Yeah, in a Custodians only list, it's probably safer to use it, but...
Yeah.
The Castellan's Mark. If the bearer is on the battlefield at the beginning of the game but before first turn, remove them and one friendly unit, Custodes unit within 6 inches, and then set them up again.
Yep.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
That's interesting. There are other factions who get that ability without having to use a relic. But that's pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Auric Shackles. Your opponent must subtract 1 from the attacks characteristics of enemy characters while they're within 6 inches of a bearer. In addition, in missions that use victory points, if the bearer slays an enemy warlord in the fight phase, you score an additional D3 victory points.
Which means sometimes, wow, I guess that you can technically score 2d3 victory points if you have the right objective card.
Yeah. So, take this one if you're in Maelstrom, I guess. But there are probably better relics here overall.
There are some very good relics in here, and since you don't have psychic powers, there's no excuse really not to take some of them.
Yeah, you pretty much always want to spend 3 to get another 2 of them on something, if you're fielding pure Custodes.
If you're feeling pure.
The
Obliteratum.
Obliteratum replaces a Basilisk Grenade Launcher.
Ballistus Grenade Launcher, which we were talking about. This is what I was telling you earlier. It's same grenade launcher, 12 inches, assault 1 instead of D3, but it's strength 10, AP -4, D3 damage.
It's not bad.
That's something you want to be shooting characters with.
Yeah, that's a direct upgrade. And then we got, the last one is, I think that's the last one. Yep.
Yeah, that's the last of the relics.
Faith Absolute. So replaces the Vexilar Magnifica. Loses the original ability.
It's the same thing of the infantry and bikers automatically pass morale. And the bearer can attempt to deny 1 psychic power in each enemy psychic phases if they were a psycho.
Okay, so you get a denial and the Commissar ability, the old school Commissar ability.
Pretty sure if you use all 3, yeah, you've got up to 3 denials in this army if you build it right.
Yeah.
Because we go into the Warlord traits, which is our last thing before points because there's no psychic powers.
Warlord traits. So Captain Trojan has
Champion of the Imperium,
which happens to be the first one we're going to read out.
So friendly Adeptus Custodes infantry, bikers, and dreadnought units that are within 12 inches of your warlord at the start of your opponent's charge phase can make heroic interventions this phase in the same manner as characters.
That's pretty handy.
Especially if one of them is like a...
Yeah, if you're blobbing them all up together and keeping them close.
And he's the only boss that got in.
Peerless Warrior. Each time you make a hit roll of 6 up, you can immediately make an extra attack. Against the same weapon, cannot generate further, so... Meh.
Superior Creation. This is pretty fun to put on a bike with that relic.
Because each time your warlord loses a wound, it gives you a 5-up feel no pain. That's pretty handy.
Yeah, so you can end up with a 2-up, 3-up rerolling charges, 5-up feel no pain.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Impregnable Mind. Your warlord can attempt to deny the witch once,
as if they were a psycho,
and they add 1 to the result to do so.
So there's a fair bit of denying the witch here.
Yeah, so you can just get a flat-out denial if you feel you need it. Radiant Mantle. Opponent must subtract 1 from all hit rolls that target your warlord.
Yes.
Wow, that's just...
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's pretty good. That's
I think it's better than Superior Creation.
Yeah, you'd argue.
If you're putting it on a bike, Superior Creation is good, but that statistically, Radiant Mantle
better.
Will do more work. So yeah.
Emperor's Companion, you can reroll the dice for the damage inflicted by your warlord's attacks.
Well, they're all D3.
So that's pretty handy.
That's pretty handy.
Because the difference between 1 and 3 is pretty massive.
Yeah. Now, we'll do a little conversation about points and competitiveness and what we think about these guys in general now. So points per model, right? So, Alaris Custodians are 70 points without their war gear. Now, their Ballistic Grenade Launcher is 0 points, which is fine. The Castellan Axes, which you will probably want to give the Terminators, are 14 points apiece. So, they get expensive. They get them to about 150 plus. With a decent sized squad. So, yeah. Custodian Guard are the standard 40 points plus 12 for their Guardian Spear. So, yeah. That's decent. I mean, but Storm Shields are 10 points. Storm Shields are 10 points for them, so. And where is it? The Sentinel Blade is only 9 points, so it's actually... No. It's more expensive to give them the Storm Shields, as you'd expect. But, again, as we discussed earlier, we think you'd only want maybe 1 or 2 squads with the Storm Shields and stuff. They're objective holders and backfield distraction carnifexes. They can make very nice distraction carnifexes in big squads, I reckon, because they'd be hard to crack. So, I want the Shield Captain is 110 points without his weapons. So, you know, Guardian Spear is 12, Castellan Axe is 14. The Terminator guy is the Shield Captain in Alaris Terminator armor is 130 points without his weapons. But then you have the Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jet Bike, 150 points. He's 160 once you give him his thing, and his Interceptor Lance is 0 points. So he's 160 points base.
It's not bad.
That's very spammable. You can get a lot of bikes in a 2,000 point army for that.
Yeah.
It's very spammable. I can almost see the same thing happening with him as you see with Tau Commander spam.
Maybe.
I can see it happening. I think that's supported by maybe some Vexilars, maybe even a squad of squad of Alaris would be quite an intimidating list to fight.
But you probably would need to, since unlike the Tau, the commander here is just as good offensively as the regular bikes. So it's probably more points worthy.
Well, there's some very good points there. We'll see if we can up the volume on that, because I don't think it got that. So what were you saying? It's not worth the points. It's more points efficient, basically.
Well, how much is regular bikes each?
The regular bikes, the Veritas Praetors, are 80 points. So plus an additional 10 points for their Hurricane Bolters.
So 90 points each?
Yeah.
Compared to how much? Compared to 160?
Yeah, but you're getting a fair bit more. You're getting character shenanigans, you're getting... You're getting relics, you're getting warlord traits, and you're getting the reroll ones.
Nah, for the points, you would still field a few of them, but you wouldn't field all them. You basically would field one captain for every squad that you put down.
I think you'd be taking three minimum.
Because offensively, they're giving you the same output. The only difference is the character gives you that aura and slightly better stats.
I'd give
3
of them with 3 squads of bikes, and then some Terminators and some Vexillars.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be a very daunting list. They are very points inefficient. Like, the Captain General He's 250 points.
So your Venerable Land Raider is 283 points before weapons.
Now, there isn't something important to note. You remember those Vexilars we were looking at? That do the different things? They actually do cost points here.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
the Magnifica, which gives you the -1, is 30 points. The Imperius, which gives you the extra attack, is 50 points. And the Defensor, which gives Imperium units the 5-up invul save, is 20 points.
Huh, so the soup one is the cheapest.
Yeah, the Soup one is the cheapest, and the Praetor himself is 80 points.
So 100 points for a 5-up invul save bubble.
Yeah, well, not including his other guns, because they're not free. But yeah, pretty much. 102 points with the Guardian Spear. So, yeah, that's worth souping it up.
Yeah,
that
definitely.
is definitely worth souping it up. It's 100 points to give Bane Blades or your other super heavies that don't have any sort of invul protection.
Yeah.
And invul saves are better than 5-up Feel No Pains this edition. Yeah. I do see this army as very max aggression now that we've gone through it. It's very much, it wants to get in there and it wants to fight very quickly. Because it's all super close range. Everything it has revolves around being at least 12 inches away.
Yeah, it's a very up close and personal army.
And I think you're going to chew through your stratagems very, very quickly. Because you're going to want to use ones to take lots of relics. You're going to use ones to deep strike lots of things. So, yeah. Custodians are a little interesting. Like, it's a question of can they stand on their own, and I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure the Custodians can stand on their own because they're just so very points. It's their points cost. Like, you're going to be outnumbered by Grey Knights most of the time. All the time. Unless you're fielding nothing but the regular Custodians. The Terminators are very expensive just for 3 of them. The Terminators are, geez, a lot. As I said, they're 70 points and not a huge improvement over a regular, Custodians. I see these guys having some really nasty solo Custodian lists, but I see them being even nastier when you pair them up as big beat sticks to counteract something like, to counteract other Imperial armies, like allying them with Sisters of Battle can be hilarious. Sisters of Battle with 5-up invul saves instead, and giving them some really good fast-moving melee units that can go ahead of all their flamers. Really good at supporting Imperial Guard battle lines, I guess, by sitting out in front of them. Space Marines, they kind of... I don't see off the bat how they would really work well with just generic Space Marines or Blood Angels or Dark Angels for that matter, other than just giving you bigger beat sticks. The Dreadnoughts are kind of, in Custodians, are kind of like... The Dreadnoughts and Land Raiders are odd choices. I don't see you taking them over other things like Bikes or Terminators.
Giving Primaris Marines a 5-up invul save, though.
Yeah. Primaris Marines are a thing, aren't they? Giving Aggressors a 5-up invul save. But beyond giving them 5-up invul saves and making bigger beat sticks, they don't contribute that much to a Space Marine army. They contribute more to the weaker Imperium armies, like Mechanicus, Sisters, and Imperial Guard. So they're definitely an allies force. Whether or not they deserved a codex is something I'm not going to debate here, because I honestly don't know why we got this codex. Why did we get this codex? Because Custodians sell well, apparently.
It seems a bit odd after the saying we're not going to do anything new until all the chapter approved codexes were released, and then they just give us this.
And then, 2 hours later, it's, by the way, here's Custodians. It's a bit of an interesting thing. But we've got Custodians now. They're going to be a thing. How big a thing they're going to be is debatable. I think it's going to require some very playful list building from competitive people, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do moderately well.
But they are pretty, and they look good.
Yeah, they are fantastic models nonetheless. I think I want a few.
Yeah, I think I want a few too.
I feel like we'll get some, but we won't probably build an army, or at least if we have some, it'll be enough to build a Custodian's army because they're so expensive. I mean, to start an army of these, their get starting box is equivalent of basically just one regular box of dudes.
Yeah, one regular box of dudes gets you a troops choice and elites choice and a HQ.
Yeah,
which is amazing.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. But no, we'll see. Only time will tell with the Custodes. That's it for our Custodes review. We'll be back next time for a Thousand Suns review. Whether or not he joins me for that one, we'll see. But I'm looking forward to that one. And then we've just got the codex schedule for the next several months, actually, didn't we? So, Thousand Suns, then Dark Eldar, Tau, and Necrons. So, we'll see you all next time, and thank you all for watching, and have fun with the Custodes, everyone. Let us know what you think about them in the comments below.